As a bloke, you don't want to arrive early in the bedroom, hotel room, kitchen bench, spa bath, car, or wherever you are. But you do want to feel comfortable talking about a solution. Pilot.com.au, your online men's health navigator.
It's very good morning to you, Kane and Hazy. It is August the 11th, would you believe? Big show coming up for you this morning. Looking forward to getting stuck into it and taking your calls and your conversation. Michelangelo Rucci after 7 o'clock. Marlon Motlop is one of our favourites, multi-talented star on the field, Glenelg Premiership player, but also pretty handy off it with the axe, Hazy, as they like to say in the music industry. And also, the Tigers are, well, they're on top of the ladder on the back of an unbelievable season. So he will join us. Nathan Sobey Bryant, one of our boys, bronze at the Olympics as part of this superstar Australian Boomers lineup that won a bronze medal, the first of its kind at the Olympics. So looking forward to it. There's a stack of things we've got to talk about. Toby Green got suspended. Josh Kelly signed what I believe to be the most irresponsible deal possibly in AFL history. We'll get to that. Eddie Betts has spoken about a conversation that he has had with Taylor Walker. So there's plenty we're to get through this morning, which we will do. Good morning, Hazy.
Morning to you, Kane. Good morning to everybody out there. Text line, get a firing this morning nice and early. 0427 154 166. We had a new bunch of restrictions eased yesterday from the top dogs.
Did we?
In the government. Should we go through it? This is the SA COVID update. So I believe it starts from either midnight tonight or tomorrow.
Midnight Thursday, I thought it was.
Thursday, midnight?
Yep.
So Friday, unless you're out and about on Thursday night. Seat of food and beverage consumption boosted to 75% capacity. Ooh,
that's a win.
Win.
That's a win for the publicans and the cafes. And
it's a win for the
everyone
diners.
that's doing it really tough. Take me through the next ones.
Win for the fine diners. Standing and retail remain at 50%.
No change.
No change to home gatherings. Capped at 10.
No change.
Jeez. Remember that big house party we're going to have with all your mates? Outside gatherings increased to 50.
Bonus.
That's a bonus. No changes to masks or borders. And I'm stalling. Hurry up. Get to the point. Shisha, still off the menu.
No.
I can't believe it. Singing.
You think I'm pretty without any makeup on.
Karaoke bars, no good yet.
Oh.
Give us an opportunity. I'm talking about our good friends at the Al Sultan Shishish Lounge.
I'm going to unload when our vaccination rates gets up and I can go firstly to a restaurant and stand up and drink.
Yep.
And then make my way to the shisha bar.
Oh, seriously, they're going to send the fire brigade, your old mates.
Correct. And then...
the Highly Street is just going to be this giant cloud of shisha smoke.
And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the karaoke bar.
And finish off. And some will say, look, your voice will be so hoarse because of all the shisha smoke, but you'll get through somehow.
It's going to be frightening when this all ends.
It's going to be a sheesh-off.
It's actually going to be a sheesh-off.
A proper sheesh-off.
Apparently we have to do a census, right? So stay with me here. I've seen it. I get it. I know what it is.
Apparently. We're supposed to have done it.
No, you've got till tonight.
Oh, till tonight.
I think you've got till Thursday night, actually.
Oh, I thought it was just last night. I think it was just last night.
No, I swear it was Thursday. Anyway, I hope Lucy's done it because I have not seen, my household hasn't mentioned it. And I was driving into work this morning and I heard on the radio, $2.50 a day for every day you don't complete the census.
$2.50.
No, $250.
250 rupiah or Australian dollars?
No, Australian dollars for every day you don't complete the census. So have you done it, Hazy? Have you done the census?
A funny story, Kane, because we're kind of in the same bracket, only I'm just a little bit more organised than you. Stock standard. Who gets here at 4 in the morning? Who preps? Who gets the coffees and goes and buys the coffees? Who organises everything? Alicia. But when Alicia can't do it, who does it? Maybe me. Last night at about 9 o'clock, jumped in bed and I said to Cara, oh boy, what's this census stuff? Have you done it?
She done it?
She said, yeah. Have I done it? She said, yes, I did yours as well.
Right.
So I'm covered.
I'm in trouble, I think, because I don't know if Lucy was out all day working yesterday. I don't know if she's not the most organised person. So I could be up for $2.50 large. That's what I'm looking at.
Well, basically what you're saying is come get me because I haven't done it.
I've just told everyone,
Oh,
all
haven't you?
the government authorities that are listening to us this morning, But so you don't know. You haven't actually I couldn't ask you what was a good question or what was a surprise question.
No,
no. So you haven't actually done that.
I've never done a census in my life. Can I say that? I mean, this is a really open space where we like to keep secrets within each other, and we're a trustful community, the Titan SEN SA community. I've never completed a census.
Okay, well, Alicia's so organised. So she tells us she did hers at 8:50 last night, so she beat the deadline. It's super quick. It asks about religion, education, work, and income. Was there any questions, Alicia, that you thought tricked you or you had to think about for a while?
Well, there you go.
Pretty simple stuff.
There you go. Some quick questions. Religion, LeBron James. Education, looking forward to it. Work, here I am. Yep. Income, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a year.
That's it. Good answers from
you. On a good year.
Okay, well, did you get your census in? Because I'm in trouble. The government are coming for me. They're going to lock me up, $250 a day. I'll get onto that. Surely they give you like a 12-hour extension. So after I get off work, I could just fill it out and I'll be okay. I'm
not sure it works like that because you forgot or you couldn't be bothered.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, okay. You've been a bit harsh.
This is not a good platform for you to discover that it needed to be completed last night.
I thought I heard Thursday at midnight. That's what I thought I heard.
I think you're talking about the eased restrictions.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused. Anyway, how'd you go with the census? Did you get it done? I'm like you. I can't ever remember doing one, Easy. And hopefully Lucy's done it for me, like your beautiful wife did for you.
Good stuff to all the wives out there that really carried their husbands through last night. Text line 0427154166. Mick from Camden. He said, "Good morning, boys. I'm very excited. My NFL game pass renewed, which means the season is around the corner. Any chance of a special preview before the season starts? Maybe someone from the US to come on? And have you seen this shape my boys from the Seahawks are in? DK and Carson. No need for skinfold tests there. Oh boy, keep up the great show. DK Metcalf is what you would design,
superhuman,
or what you would show other terrestrials from different planets to say, oh look, this is what we can produce in terms of athletic greatness, and just a man with a body who you'd like to have. Here he is. Have a look. What do you think?
If you could clone someone, you would clone him. Has the abs on it. So, Mick, I need your help here because my 14-year-old son is so into the NFL, it's ridiculous. He wants to move to America when he finishes school and go and study it and be a journalist over there. He wants an NFL fantasy league, and I can't find one to enter. I've texted a few mates, and they're like, oh, no, ours is pretty closely guarded. You got to talk to our commissioner. I texted someone last night. I'm going to name and shame him, Jason Davenport, who I used to play footy with, the Eagle Killer. I said, mate, because I know he's into it. I said, have you got an NFL fantasy competition that I can enter? And he said, not at this stage. I said, what do you mean? You're into this stuff. And he said, well, I'm not the commissioner.
Oh.
I said, are you taking this a bit too serious? Or So, Mick, can we start our own SENSA NFL fantasy league? Are you keen? And is there anyone else out there that wants to join? Because that's the task I've been given from my son to do that. So let us know if you can help. 0427154166.
Do you know, at no stage of my life have I ever considered sort of looking at fantasy football, whether it be AFL, what is it, Supercoach, or
we had a massive NBA fantasy league going for, I'm going to say, 6 or 7 years at Port Adelaide. Troy Chaplin and Daniel Pearce and Travis Boak and Robbie Gray, all the boys were into it.
They're all outstanding young men. You just mentioned names like Travis Boak as well.
So time consuming.
I always thought that fantasy football or fantasy sports were for people where ladies weren't an option.
No, it's definitely
not. That was your next option.
Definitely very nerdish behaviour. And so we used to sometimes sprint off the training track to go and check our phones to see who was playing each other and whether Dwight Howard had got a couple of rebounds. It was amazing. Anyway, it was a bit of a waste of time, and I'm asking to do it again. So let us know if anyone can help me set up a fantasy league.
Calm texted in. Good morning to you, great man. He said, guys, I watched the Netflix doco, The Malice in the Palace.
Yes.
It's the thug version of The Last Dance. Just to hook up the charges from the 2004 brawl between the Pistons and the Pacers. It's epic. That was absolutely epic back then when he was Ron Artest. Before he sort of went in a different direction and changed his name to Meta World Peace.
Yep, I've seen some of the previews of that. Going to actually get home on the weekend and watch that. So thank you for that. Has anyone else seen the Luke Longley two-parter. I haven't consumed that yet, but what's it like? Let us know your thoughts on that.
Just an interesting one there. Callum signed off on that text as Chet, and what he's referring to is a bit of a rant doing the rounds from one of Tom Hanks's children, in particular this young bloke, his son. And look, this is not a political show. It's not a show about, should you or shouldn't you get vaccinated, all those types of things. We're a sports show. We don't really mind what you do, but let's just have a listen to the offspring of Tom Hanks.
Hey guys, so just checking in. Look, I've been kind of on the fence about this for a while. That's why I've never spoke on it. But with the amount of people that I know recently that have gotten COVID, and with like the numbers rising, I think it's important for me to say, like, I got the vaccine. I think everybody should. I think it's really important, like, that we all do this just as like citizens, as Americans. We have to look out for each other and get this shit under control, guys. So like, I suggest to all my followers, you guys set an appointment and get the vaccine first thing. Psych! If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I never had COVID. You ain't sticking me with that mother needle. It's the mother flu. Get over it, okay? If you're sick, stay inside. I'm tired of having okay? Why are we working around y'all? If you're in danger, stay your ass inside. I'm tired of wearing a mother mask.
I'm not Stephen A. Smith. Also, Mum and Dad had it, as in Tom Hanks had COVID. But the thing about this, which really gets me, and I've said this for so long as I can remember, as long as I've been in South Australia at least as well, which was 2006, I just find it hard, really hard, to trust anyone when their first name is Chet.
It's not great, is it?
We're not talking Brett, not Rhett, Chet.
Chet. There's a lot of rubbish, isn't there? I mean, has the internet actually done any good? Do we think? I mean, sometimes I think
it's probably even.
What was life like before we gave all these people a platform?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Well, when it first started, when there was access to a platform, it was probably people who were using it in the right space. But then all of a sudden, I'm going to go on a bit of a dad rant here. I can't see too many advantages at all in TikTok.
No. TikTok's shown the creative side of some people, if I'm going to play devil's advocate. Like, it's people that wouldn't have usually had the opportunity to show how clever and creative and how they can make content. That's what I'll stick up for it. But yeah, there's a bit of rubbish behind it.
See, all I think when I think of TikTok is sort of women in their 30s who use it as a platform to really try and show that they can mime movie scenes and also do ridiculous, annoying, trending dances.
It's so annoying, isn't it? Anyway, just go and get vaccinated, everyone. All right, just do it. I guarantee you, I've had it. It's all good. No issues.
Calm down, Chet.
Just go and get it, so we can actually do some stuff. That would be great. Tom Rockcliffe, we'll get to that after 7 o'clock, has retired as well. So I'm reading a headline in the Herald Sun this morning. A massive big headline says AFL fight over for Rocky. And he's spoken about the fact that the blood clots haven't cleared and that they could be there for 10 years. Of course, he had that knee operation, he had surgery, had the blood clots. They went to his lungs, pretty touch and go there for a while. But he said he has to continue on the blood thinners for a bit longer. It was a good retirement, wasn't it? Like, he went out the right way, self-deprecating with his athletic attributes. And they asked him if he could coach, and he said, well, if Ken Hinkley can do it, anyone can do it. So maybe there's a big future for him. But we didn't quite get to see the best of Tom Rockcliffe, did we?
No, we didn't.
In Adelaide.
Brisbane got a nice little sample, really nice sample, 150 games, captain, All-Australian, best and fairest. He did it all up there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I would have liked to have seen, and he mentioned as well, I think he only played in 2 finals. Would have liked to see Tom Rockcliffe play more finals football because, geez, there's not many like Rockcliffe, and people talk about guys who are high disposal getters. It's not easy to go out there and get 40 disposals.
He was the most prolific ball winner for a good 3-year period we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And not just possessions, it was contested, it was tackles, and at one stage he was a goal-kicking midfielder. So you're right, I did feel a bit sad when I heard him say, I've only played 2 finals, and he gave a really inspirational message to the group yesterday about what's in front of them in the next 5 weeks, and it could be something extraordinary. So Mark Murphy, 300 games this weekend, he's also retiring. 6 finals only. at Carlton, over 300 games. Tom Rockcliffe only 2, over 200 games. So, unfortunately, your career in terms of sometimes you're unlucky with the club that you get drafted to and the way that it works out, but not a lot of September success for either of those two. But congratulations to Tom Rockcliffe. I don't think it's the last we'll see of him involved in the game.
No, very, very good way to go out in terms of his speech as well, because I think you got a lot of people might have just been introduced to Tom Rockcliffe's personality with that speech. It was absolutely outstanding. How many finals did you play?
I played in 19.
19.
Yeah. Well, I was
Good run.
lucky. I think the first 5 years of my career, you turn up at that's what I'm saying, it's a bit of luck. You turn up at a club that was in the mix every year, 5 years.
So what percentage of wins?
I think it was 11 and 8.
Okay. Solid. And your post or your speech, and not your speech at the press conference, your speech to the playing group.
The hardest thing I've ever had to do.
And was it written out and everything? Or did you just get up?
It was. I think it was written out, but it didn't go to plan.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just sort of, you think you're going to be okay, and you get up there in front of your teammates, and it hits you that you have turned up to this place for every day pretty much. You've grown up there for 15 years around these people, and you've gone out to battle and done all those things, and the tough pre-season moments, and you realise you're not going to walk back into the place again. There's something so final about retiring as an AFL footballer, because the minute you say you're retired, you move on.
Yep.
It's it. You're done. And unfortunately, you've got the memories, but you don't feel like you're a part of the group anymore. And that's what happens to all the retired players.
And just to veer off in a slightly different direction, 0427154166. This text is labelled from Anonymous. It says, Kane, if you didn't have the internet, you wouldn't be able to shop online at Sexyland. It's a great point. Just to introduce people who are unaware of exactly what Sexyland is. So revealed this news to Kane probably 3 weeks ago. So Sexyland is basically a place where you can jump online and buy Sexyland.
How did you find out about this again?
Oh, it just popped up on my desk.
Of course
it really just popped up on my desk. Been massive over in Melbourne, so they've introduced a couple of stores in Adelaide. And I told Kane about this, and he nearly launched into the ceiling. He got that red. He turned into a rocket and nearly jumped out of here. And I said, look, maybe you and Lucy could jump into Sexyland and see what happens. You've never seen a man blush more. It's fantastic.
Maybe not the internet. Maybe has anything good come of social media? Maybe we'll say that, because of course you want to be able to order online discreetly at Sexyland.
This text as well saying it's Carlton's week to win.
It is, but I think they've put the cue in the rack. So no Harry Mackay coming out. Question marks over Sam Walsh. I think they've got a couple of other injuries as well. They cannot beat Port Adelaide.
I think their odds would be pretty sloppy
low.
still.
And we'll get to the Crows as well. I think they've put the cue in the rack. Riley O'Brien's not going to play. There's some other injuries, of course, Brodie Smith and Hamill. So the last couple of weeks could get pretty nasty for Adelaide, unfortunately. We'll talk about all of that. Carlton I want to get to as well. D-Day for David Teague probably tomorrow, but everyone thinks that he is gone, although, amazingly, he hasn't been told by his own club yet. 21 minutes past 6 o'clock. What's caught your attention? 1300 736 736.
Some rain developing across Adelaide today for a top of 16. We'll do it thanks to Mazda as well. The Mazda Moment mid-season event is on. And also Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. Good morning.
25 minutes past 6 o'clock. We are at SENSA Studio Lumo, number 1 King William Street in the city. If you want to get involved, stack of text coming through already. People up and early this morning, 0427 154 166. Plenty happening around the competition, Hazy, as the race for the final spots heats up.
Oh, it is. It's going to be a nice little battle for the final couple of spots. Top 4 looks like it's taking shape. Who's going to finish on top? Still up in the air, but just to delve into a different area, a man charged with punching a horse during Sydney's heated anti-lockdown protest is set to fight the allegations in court.
Is he?
Riemann, his name is, Riemann Corkeys, 36, set to plead not guilty to charges after being arrested during the massive rally attended by thousands of protesters in the CBD last month. A court has been told, not Sydney's finest moment. He was charged with assaulting an officer, animal cruelty and breaching health orders, with the court previously being told that he had lost work as a photographer due to the pandemic and attended the protests out of frustration. He was one of 2 men charged with allegedly punching a police horse during heated clashes at the protests. We had horses on the farm that I grew up at, and originally I used to try and ride them. My sister used to ride horses, another little patch where I tried to get into it as well. And I reckon I got one particular day I got thrown off twice, and that was the final straw. I said, no, my relationship with horses is done.
Is horse riding the most expensive sport?
It would be up
One
there.
of. So what are the most expensive sports? So motor racing, 0427 154 166. I reckon if you call sailing a sport,
Yes.
would be pretty expensive.
Yep.
Horse racing would. So let's narrow it down to the most expensive sports. 0427 154 166. Did your family have to care for it and feed it and
Well, so Mum had an Arabian horse stud
right?
kind of thing. Yeah.
What's
So
that
Arabs are built for endurance. They're endurance horses.
Where did you keep? Where was your stable?
I used just to keep it in a flat. No. The stable. So we used to live 100 k's north of Wagga Wagga.
I'm learning a lot here.
You are learning a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like it's
Yeah.
veering off into an off-air conversation. Point being, in my short time with experience with horses, before I cut them off and said, look, it's motorbikes for me, you don't punch them because they're big and they can kick. They don't like
They're
it.
very friendly, though, aren't they?
They're
Horses,
beautiful animals.
They are. They're amazing animals.
They're beautiful animals, but if you spook them, and you can spook them by punching them in the face,
I
they
can't
can kick you
stand
and really,
anyone
really get you hard.
who is cruel to animals. Like,
Yeah.
that's just a sign that you're
Not a good human.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes for any animal.
Mm.
Anyway, the most expensive sports. What's cost you a lot of cash in your life in pursuit of your passion, which is sport? I mean, there's some golfers out there that would spend thousands
Yep.
on fees, on clubs. What about your lycra mates out on
Yes.
the roads, Hazy, with the amount of money they spend on their setup with their bikes?
Oh, yeah. And me and the lads of the biking fraternity, we're saving up for when the borders and everything open up again for that trip to France to watch the tour.
That's
gonna be a
why
hoot.
running is the most pure sport. Anyone can run. All you need is a pair of shoes.
Mm.
Doesn't cost you a cent. I can just duck it and go for a run.
Yes.
Okay.
And what you can do
it's
is,
the most pure sport of all sports.
do you know what the best thing about it as well?
Don't need a footy. Don't need an oval.
Hey, how good is this, folks? You can catch up with your mate. You can slightly make eye contact with him, and then you can run for 30 kilometres, be in absolutely agonising pain the whole time, and at the end of it go, see ya, and then do it all again the next day.
Running is a magnificent
that's
sport.
fun,
I was
isn't it?
watching the Olympics and watching the marathon. This is the most pure sport.
Mm.
Anyone, you don't need an indoor swimming pool that's 50 metres long. You just go out and run. That's why if you win a gold medal at a running event at the Olympics, you are the best of the best. Okay?
Okay.
That's my little passion. That was a mini volcano there. I'm not
take
sure
your word for it.
I'm not sure how we got there, but anyway, we'll talk some sport with Hazy. And
It always
his
comes back to running for you, doesn't it?
world famous sports update on the other side of this.
I'll do it thanks to Tyre Power as well, your trusted tyre experts and Mazda. The Mazda Moment mid-season event is on. Here's the news with Alex Riddell. The text line this morning, busy early thanks to Weeks. We don't replicate, we create homes that transform lives. Weeks Homes, discover different. 0427 154 166. Bit of love for you as well, Kane. Great to have you back. But I do miss Essie and Flip. Those 2 weeks were great. The best part of the Olympics, Chris and Bendigo.
Thank you to Chris. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a solid one, but we had a bit of fun, didn't we? But it's good to be back right here with the SENSA family. Before we get to Hazy Sports Update, we were speaking census this morning, and I came in with a confession that I had not done the census. And
Dangerous confession, a confession that could be fined upwards of $250.
$250 a day. Anyway, the good news is that I text Lucy. She was at the gym, but she's just finished. I said, "Did we do the census?" And she said, "Yes, mate."
Yes, no, she said it like this. Yes, mate.
And I said, "Did I do it?" And she said, "Yes."
Yes, mate.
Via me. And I said, "What religion am I?" So she marked.
She said Conor Rosie.
No, exactly right. She said running. She said Kipchoge is your religion. So
Kipchoge's your god.
good news is she saved me $250 a day, which is great. Did you do the census? Was it tricky? How'd you go? Let us know your thoughts. Did you get it in on time? Right now, though, it's time for Hazy Sports Update.
Is it just us? Are we the only husbands out there that didn't even know
Don't
that it
think
was
so.
on?
I don't think so.
Their
I knew it
wives
was
carried
on.
them through.
I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know whether it was online or physical. I think it's both. But anyway, crisis averted.
All right, let's get into our sports update. We'll start with some NBA news. Luka Doncic He's made history. The youngest ever player to sign a contract worth more than $280 million. That's Australian. It was first reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, of course it was, that the Slovenian had signed with the Mavs on a rookie Supermax extension worth US $207 million. The 22-year-old is the youngest player ever to be eligible to sign such a deal because he made the All-NBA first team for the last 2 seasons. So it activated clauses needed under NBA rules for the Supermax contract to be offered. It's a 5-year deal. It starts from the 2022/23 season. He'll get $35 million, followed by 38 the next season, followed by 41, 44, and then $47 million in season 2026/27. He's fine. Financially, he's fine.
I think you'll be all right.
He'll be okay.
Yep.
3 meals a day.
I think you'll be okay. And on the cusp of being the next Larry Bird-ish kind of guy, isn't he?
He's he's once in a generation.
Absolutely is. And he just needs one or two good players around him now.
Kristaps not quite getting the job done.
Kristaps hasn't got it done. So he needs 1, maybe 2 genuine players around him.
You just wonder what sort of team player Kristaps is as well.
Not sure.
You wouldn't know unless you were inside the Mavs. What about this? The Celtics have offered Dennis Schroeder a 1-year mid-level deal worth around $9.5 million. And you think, well, that's good coin. Really good coin. Dennis Schroeder, of course, played for the Lakers last year. That's after he's turned down a 4-year, $84 million deal from the Lakers to test the market to get something bigger.
So Dennis has cost himself, about $75 million there?
Sometimes you've got to back yourself in. And sometimes these stories get out there when a lot of the time it's pushed by the agent. Well, they say, no, we can do better than this. So 4 years, $84 million, work that out. Some quick maths, $21 million a year versus now he's getting offers of a 1-year, $9.5 million deal.
Once again, I think he'll be okay. I don't think he'll struggle to eat, but it would hurt a little bit, wouldn't it?
He's fine. He's completely fine. And once again, put him in that bracket of 3 meals a day.
Yep.
But there's a fair difference in coin right there. And with this man as well, he's also going to be fine. Football star Leo Messi. So he's arrived in France to finalise a transfer to Paris Saint-Germain after the Argentine was forced to leave Barcelona due to the club's financial troubles. So he is locked in. He flew to Paris on Tuesday. So there's photos of him in the Guernsey, all those types of things. So he's going to join a star-studded lineup in Paris, including Neymar. So PSG are going to be very, very good. Neymar's still going to get paid. He's still going to get paid plenty of money, is Messi. And that's probably one of the bigger transfers since Ronaldo jumped over to Juventus.
How long can he play for? How old is he? It feels like he's been around forever. I'm just going to Google his age there for a minute. Hazy, 34 years of age. Yeah. How long are you still a real superstar? What age can you play till?
He's at least got a couple of years left.
Yeah.
Some real soccer gurus get involved this morning, but he hasn't got any sort of long-term injuries that suggest that he's towards the end.
Looks a little bit like Jason Ackermanis, would you believe? Just Googling him now, and the image is coming up when he's got that bit of a beard happening. So,
okay,
a lookalike for you?
Sure. There you go. Cricket. England cricket coach Chris Silverwood has put his faltering top 3 on notice ahead of the Lord's Test against India. They're battling. The lack of big top order runs have been a consistent problem for Joe Root's side for some time, with Zach Crawley a growing cause. Number 3, he's got an average of 11.14 in 2021. And Dom Sibley is averaging 21.56. Good news for us, not good news for England. But hey, we're not complaining, particularly when their batsmen are struggling. Jofra Archer won't be there. I'm talking about the Ashes.
You do want a good contest, though. You don't want to. We've had some one-sided Ashes in Australia, particularly over the journey when we had that super team, and it's quite boring when we bat first and put on 500, and it doesn't. We don't even get to bat again. So I hope for a contest. Nothing better than good Ashes tussle.
See, I like it when Australian teams just flog teams.
Do you?
Like when Dave Warner was playing Pakistan, he hit nearly 350.
Hey, do you reckon on cricket? Do you reckon it should be in the Olympics?
Well, just about to get to that. The International Cricket Council has confirmed it will campaign for the inclusion of the sport at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, launching its effort in traditional cricket fashion with the formation of a committee, the ICC Olympic Working Group. So I didn't know this, that cricket was a sport way back in 1900 at the Olympics.
Oh, right. I didn't know that either.
So it's trying to make a return.
It's worthy of a spot at the Olympics. We're seeing some of the other sports that are there.
Is it T20 cricket?
Has to be T20. Otherwise,
we're not great at that.
No, we're hopeless. We got no hope for a gold medal. But
let's just hope the T20 final in the Olympics in 2028 isn't between Australia and Bangladesh.
So apparently, softball and baseball got dropped for the next Olympics, which is fine because I didn't watch a second of baseball at the Olympics just gone by.
Question without notice: your top 25 softballers?
I'll get back to you on that one before 8:30.
Is that because you love them all equally? You couldn't possibly rank them?
Hey, just on cricket as well, really sad news this morning. I couldn't sort of believe it when I read this. Former Black Cap and one of my absolute favourites when international cricket and one-day cricket burst onto the scene in the 90s, has reportedly collapsed in Australia and is on life support. He has suffered a major medical emergency, an aortic dissection. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is where a tear occurs in the inner layer of the body's main artery. He's going to be transferred to a specialist hospital in Sydney soon. Of course, the 51-year-old son of Black Cap legend Lance Cairns was a ripping all-rounder, played 62 test matches, 215 one-day internationals, and 2 T20s between 89 and 2006. So 51 years of age, this shouldn't be happening. So hopefully, it sounds like it's reasonably catastrophic, hopefully they can get him through this.
Absolutely. Chris Cairns was just so fun to watch.
Big hitter.
Good
character, such a big presence, big man, handy bowler, great fieldsman, and seemed like just a ripping player that you'd love to be around, great teammate.
Was it the old man, Lance, that used the aluminium bat? Something like that?
I don't know.
I'll look that up. And rugby, to finish off, Sydney is set to go without any rugby test for the first time in 44 years as Rugby Australia prepares to move the Wallabies clash with the Springboks to Perth. Dave Kenny's side was scheduled to face the world champions at the SCG on Sunday, September 12, but because of the massive issues with COVID, the match is set to relocate to WA. Isn't WA just putting its hand up to be the pin-up boy for sport in this country at the minute?
Yeah, it's done. I mean, there's some people have been devastated, including Melbourne, announced that front page of the Herald Sun, all their big events have been, once again lost. There's real concerns about the Australian Open going ahead in Melbourne with the restrictions that will be placed on the players coming out that they wouldn't sign up for. So the grand final parade is off. Melbourne biggest losers. WA biggest winners. That was Hazy Sports Update. Did he miss anything? Did we miss anything? 0427 154 166. Get involved in the show.
On that text line as well, guys. Good luck to GWS getting Toby off. He and they can talk precedents all they like in this farcical report. The AFL has their own precedent. ... It's called He's Toby Green.
We'll get to that, the Toby Green tax, and why their legal counsel didn't use Bailey Fritsch as a precedent was, I think, one of their biggest mistakes. They didn't even mention it. So he was lucky. He was successful in getting it downgraded from 2 to 1, but should not be missing Friday night football for that incident. It is ridiculous what that man has to go through.
Footy shorts up next. 16 the top across Adelaide today. Some showers developing right now. 11 degrees in the city at 6:43. Good morning.
Oh, that's the thing about, that's what I like about, yeah, that's the thing about football.
I think we're back, Hazy. Apologies, but system just had a bit of a meltdown. I think it was the census. All the census talk caused the system to melt down. So let's go through all of our footy news and tell you what's happening at your club and around the competition. Once again, apologies for those technical issues. Port Adelaide midfielder and former Brisbane captain Tom Rockcliffe has called time on his AFL career. The 31-year-old informed teammates that he would be retiring effective immediately after a brutal run of injuries this season. He managed 2 AFL games to start this year and finishes with 208 matches to his name, including 54 at Port Adelaide, 154 at the Lions. He will continue this season in a coaching capacity at Alberton as the Power push for a premiership. Here's Rocky with his announcement yesterday.
Every pig has his day, and that's it for me, boys. I'm going to hang them up. I thought I'd get a bit further than that. I started as a fat kid from Benalla, no legs, Short, stumpy legs, long torso. No muscles, no speed, no athletic ability at all. And I'll finish that way as a 31-year-old. Out of my 208 odd games, I played 2 finals. We've got a great opportunity this year to do it again, and we sit top 4 for a reason. We're a good team. We've got 5 games to go where we can do something pretty special, and let's live in that moment. Let's thrive off each other, push each other harder. Carlton this weekend starts there, build our momentum, and it'll be all worth it when we get there. Can't wait to be on the bench with you boys when we win it, so still going to be part of it until the end.
Congrats to Tom Rockliff, a sensational career, and the way that Tom Rockliff is and the way that he went about it, he's just a natural footballer. You can't teach blokes how to play like that.
Yep.
He just has an understanding of how to get the football that much. It's fun to watch.
Good decision maker, massive ball user, as we've spoken about. Congratulations on his career. It's that time of year, isn't it, Hazy? Where it's really sad to see these guys go.
Port Adelaide defender still at Port, and Miles Bergman has been announced as the AFL's Rising Star nominee for round 21. The 19-year-old was recognised for his performances against Adelaide on Saturday night when he had 23 disposals to go with 4 tackles and 4 clearances. It's been building up for a little while, though.
Yeah, a lot of people will be happy on the text line, wondering where his nomination has been for a while. Congratulations to him. Crows midfielder Matt Crouch is done for the year after suffering more groin soreness. Crouch experienced the soreness post-training last Thursday. It was unable to play in the SANFL on Saturday. The club has also finally put a line through Daniel Talia's season following foot surgery earlier in the year. Luke Pedler will miss the remainder of the season after injuring his ankle in the SANFL win over Port Adelaide on Saturday. Riley O'Brien is also out for this weekend's game against Melbourne with a knee injury. He hyperextended his knee in the first quarter of the showdown. Was able to play the game out, but precautionary scans revealed a low-grade lateral ligament tear. Brodie Smith and Will Hamill are both subject to the concussion protocols. They'll miss. Hamill is expected to miss the last 2 games of the year. Carnage at Adelaide. Do they have their eyes on that number 1 draft pick? Could it fall their way?
Well,
I don't think so. 6 points in front of Melbourne as it sits. They have to lose their last 2. Melbourne would have to win their last 2.
North Melbourne, so yeah.
North Melbourne.
North would particularly need to win, and it could come down to that last game. But yeah, it's not looking good for this weekend against the D's in the short term.
Nope.
GWS will decide this morning whether to appeal a 1-match ban to Toby Green. Green was successful in downgrading the impact of his striking charge from high to medium, resulting in a 1-game suspension rather than the 2-game penalty handed down by the match review officer.
There are things that are just a free kick in the game that don't need to rub out one of the game's best players for a Friday night game. Ridiculous. Anyway, still at the GWS, superstar midfielder Josh Kelly has committed his future to the club and become a Giant for life. 8-year contract extension. It's the most unique contract I've ever seen.
It's handy.
It was a 10-year deal, but 2 with an option for 8 at $1 million.
That's the option that you like, isn't it?
Didn't he just have the club by the you-know-whats? I've never seen a player have command over a club like him and his manager Paul Connors have had. It's amazing. This is Buddy Franklin deal on steroids.
Don't you feel like the whole time he wasn't going to trigger that option?
Felt like it.
And then he just went bang.
Yeah, he felt like he was sort of weighing up what he would do. Apparently he was between North Melbourne and the Giants. Anyway, through until the 2029 season, he joins Stephen Cornelio, Toby Green, Lockie Whitfield and Nick Haynes as players that will spend their whole career at the club. I like him don't get me wrong, I like him as a player, clearly a great teammate, hard worker, but he's not worth $8 million.
Good player, All-Australian, best and fairest winner.
$8 million for 8 years?
It's good. It's good money. Carlton champ Mark Murphy will run out for his 300th and final game for Carlton when they play Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. The 34-year-old told his teammates of his decision to close the curtain on his 16-year career this weekend. He's currently on 299 games. Murphy will become a member of the Blues' coveted 300 club this weekend, joining Carlton greats John Nichols, Bruce Doull, Craig Bradley, Stephen Silvani and Cade Simpson as just the 6th player to have reached the milestone in the navy blue. It's pretty elite company.
Who's your favourite out of the 300 clubs at Carlton?
I would say, I was a massive fan of Stephen Silvani growing up. He made defending look cool. He had kids defending. But Bruce Doull, in terms of icons, Bruce Doull was he was something else, wasn't he?
Yeah, Craig Bradley for me, absolute star. And Stephen Hill, one of Fremantle's favourite sons, has called time on his 218-game career after announcing the retirement. The 31-year-old said he was grateful for his 13 years at Freo in the AFL, but his body has let him down. One of the silkiest and fastest players you've ever seen, and a beautiful player to watch. Unfortunate that the soft tissue stuff just caught up with him.
Draft note here as well. Potential number 1 pick, Jason Horn, has changed his name to Jason Horn Francis as a nod to the role his stepfather and former AFL player Fabian Francis has played in his life.
Yeah, I didn't realise there was that connection to Fabian Francis. So, yeah, the number 1 pick in the draft, or number 2, whichever way it sits, Jason Horn Francis, he will now be known by. And that was your footy shorts. Big show still to come. All the hottest talking points after 7 o'clock. We'd love for you to get involved. 1300 736 736.
16 showers across Adelaide today right now, 11 degrees in the city. We're going to catch up with Alex Riddell in just a couple of minutes' time. She's going to give us all the 7 o'clock news headlines. Good morning.
It's 4 minutes past 7 o'clock. It's very good morning to you. If you missed us in the first hour, it's good to have you in after 7 o'clock. Coming up, Michelangelo Rucci, Marlon Motlop, the Glenelg Premiership player, and the Mighty Tigers have taken out the minor premiership after winning their 15th game in a row, would you believe? So some sample chat there. And then Nathan Sobey, or Sobey Bryant, as my co-host calls him, after 8 o'clock on the back of his team and the Boomers, Australian pride, winning a bronze medal at the Olympics. 1300 736 736 to join in the conversation with us this morning, wherever you may be listening to us. Hasey, good morning.
Good morning to you, Kane. That text line again, the number 0427 154 166. Adam from Clemzig helped us out, or in particular helped me out. He said Dennis Lilly was the one that used the aluminium bat. Lance Cairns used a Newbury with the shoulders of the bat shaved off, which he swung like a golf club. Oh, geez, how good were they back in the day?
How good's the audience when they just know exactly what's going on and the history of sport. So thank you for that. We were, of course, talking about this devastating story regarding Chris Cairns and his health, and we did get on to some iconic moments in cricket. Thanks for your help there. The biggest issue continues to be the fallout from the Taylor Walker racist slur. Now, we believe Taylor Walker is back in Broken Hill, or certainly has made his way back, or is in the process of doing so. His former teammate has a regular spot on AFL 360, Eddie Betts. He was on last night, and the panel asked him whether he had spoken to Taylor Walker.
Yeah, we have. Taylor's called me, but that's our conversation to have. And like I said, Taylor's on a journey, and and I know Taylor, and he'll go on this journey 100%, and he will educate himself, and he will educate people around him.
Jeez, he's just an amazing figure, is Eddie Betts.
He is, but you can tell, and you can sense he's just sick of it. And he went on to speak in depth about why.
I've been dealing with this my whole life. My mother has, my father has, and it's tiring. It hurts. It's draining. It actually really hurts, to be honest. I'm starting to get emotional. Just talking about it here. Everything that's happened over the last 48 hours to the last week. It's been hard, and I reckon I just need everyone to really go on a journey to start educating, to start those conversations. Taylor Walker's going on his journey at the moment. I know what kind of person Taylor is, and he will hold to this account to his word. He will do this with 110%, and it just hurts, and it just keeps happening. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of fighting. It's draining. We need to start having those conversations in the workplace, in the schooling. The only way we're going to move together as one is we start educating ourselves. And, I can't do it. I can't. It's hard. And I need everyone. I need you guys. I need people at home. You guys are the ones that are going to be the powerful voice here. You guys are the ones that are going to make change. Start those conversations in home. Start it with your friends, your families. Call out racism when you see it, because there's no room for racism in Australia. And we, as Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander people, are sick of fighting. We are. We're sick of fighting because it just keeps happening. And I'm tired, guys. I honestly am. It's getting to me. It really is. And I'll keep fighting no matter what. No matter how emotional I get, no matter how drained I am, I'll fight. I'll fight for my people. I'll fight for the next generation of young Aboriginal kids that coming in to play AFL footy to make this a safe place for us to come and enjoy the game that we love. I don't know how many times, though, that I've got to front up to talk about it, to fight about it. We need the rest of Australia to stand up, to fight, to stamp it out, because there is no room for racism in Australia.
Really strong words from someone who in this space has done incredible things and continues to do incredible things. It's a situation where it's hard to get your head around someone like Eddie Betts and the broader Indigenous community can be in such a situation where you're made to feel like that. I can't get my head around it because I'm not part of that group, so I don't understand what it's like. But to try and sit there and imagine what it would be like to go through some of those things where you're judged by skin colour. It's hard to fathom, and particularly people say, well, it's hard to fathom it happens in this country. I think we've learnt at least over the last sort of period of time that absolutely it happens in this country. And it's something like Eddie Betts said, that conversation is the biggest way to start and potentially go on the right path, but it's ongoing.
We'll speak to Marlon Motlop about it this morning for his perspective on it. So listening to that, how did you feel? 0427 154 166. It's heartbreaking. And to anyone who has said or thought that the Taylor Walker issue is confined to the Adelaide Football Club, it's not. Because you just heard Eddie Betts, how far-reaching, how much damage this causes, not just to the Adelaide Football Club, to the current and past Indigenous players of the Adelaide Football Club, what it does to the current Indigenous players in the competition and past as well. So the comment that he has made has far-reaching consequences than just confined to the Adelaide Football Club. And I think most people are understanding of that.
So you played with some of the great Indigenous players as well. Does it make you think about some of those players and what potentially they've gone through or how they're feeling?
I feel fortunate of the culture of the Port Adelaide Football Club from the minute I walked in the door, because Mark Williams was so connected to the Indigenous players and we celebrated them. I think, I feel fortunate, and I've spoken about it before. I feel indebted to them for the impact that they had, that those special players had on my life, and over the 2004 Premiership, their performance on the day. It's not about performance, clearly. It's about the impact, and to cross paths with some of the best people you'll ever meet, including Paulie Vandenberg, who I spoke about on the Captain's Run on Friday, was phenomenal for me. So, yeah, of course you think of all that. But once again, I'm not in that group. So it's hard to, you're a white male speaking about things that, it's a little bit difficult to speak about. But we'll speak to Marlon Motlop about it, and we'll listen to amazing players like Eddie Betts and others that have spoken so passionately about this topic.
Text line is open, 0427 154 166. Callum said the anguish in Eddie's voice is heartbreaking. I can't even fathom what it's like to cop constant vilification to your family and an entire race. I'm so sorry I'm welling up listening to that, boys.
The thing that we should be doing is, Eddie Betts may have 2 games left in his career. We should be speaking about, and I've likened Eddie Betts to Modra. That's how, and for anyone that's watched footy in this state and lived in this state knows the impact that Eddie Betts has made on and off the field. We should be showing, and he wants to play on, I think, and who knows the changes at Carlton. But if this is the way that he has to deal with retirement, it's just not fair.
It's not right.
It's not. It's absolutely not fair. 1300 736 736. We'll move on to other matters relating to the Adelaide Football Club. Yesterday on this show, about 7:30, the club released a statement in regards to Tom Lynch, the 30-year-old not a part of the Crows' future. We asked Tim Silvers, the CEO, about it yesterday on this show.
Part of our list management strategy has been to commit to the rebuild, and unfortunately for Tom, we didn't see him as part of our future for next year. We wanted to give more games to our young forwards like Fogarty and Tilthorpe and give them the opportunities to build, get more experience so they can take us to the next level. But what I could say about Tom is that he's been an outstanding citizen for this footy club for a number of years. He's a connector on and off the field. He's just a great person with terrific values and will be missed on field. And, he's assessing his options at the moment, but, I'd be hopeful if nothing pops up playing-wise that we might be able to keep him connected to the club in some role.
So I don't agree with the decision about Tom Lynch. If I was Justin Reid, if I was Mark Rasciuto, who clearly has a lot of pull with list management at that football club, I would have given Tom Lynch a 1-year extension because what's the harm? If 1 year, not going to cost you a lot. It's match payments. He's a great character. He's going to be invested in the group. He can mentor the players, and he's still in their best 22 right now. He'll be selected this week, and his performance justifies that. But what I will say is, well done to the Adelaide Football Club for their conviction. It's ruthless. They have been ruthless. Once you are not a part of the future, we're moving on. And if you want to rebuild, you want to do it successfully, that's what you have to do. Now, whether these are the right calls and how much impact it has, and Crows fans are going to get sick of losing pretty quickly. The possibility of winning a wooden spoon, finishing 17th or 18th again the following year. Players like Tom Lynch means that you go from winning 6 games this year to winning 7, 8, 9, 10 next year. You're going to need some experience around. So I wouldn't have done it, but at least they have the courage of conviction to make some really difficult calls on good players and good people. So how far does it extend to? Daniel Talia. You couldn't make a case on the back of Tom Lynch that Talia gets offered a contract. You couldn't. You got Butts, you got Murray, you got Mackesy. So for all the reasons Tim Silver's just said to us about Tom Lynch, well, there's no way Daniel Talia plays there next year.
Oh, it's a strange one. I have been reading the comments.
30 years of age.
Well, I've been reading the comments on, particularly from Crows supporters, and I think the general. It is mixed. There's a lot of people saying this is a bad decision, and a lot of people saying this is the decision that we need to do to move on. What I don't like is don't necessarily subscribe to the thought that, well, he's not part of our next premiership.
Correct.
Because it's not about him playing in the next premiership. It's about the build up to the next premiership.
Correct.
And before Richmond's dynasty, there would have been plenty of senior players that got the club to a position where they could compete, and then time was done before they got to taste the success. There's
Examples right in front of us of how you go about a successful rebuild. And I think Fremantle are on that track. Yep, all your priorities is into the draft. Get as many top 10 picks, first-round draft picks as you can, but support them with experience. Support them with Fife and with Mundy, who's 37, 36. Support it with Walters. You can't all go young. Sydney, how quickly have they almost rebuilt? Well, that's because you got Kennedy and you got Parker and you got Franklin and you got the other experience around them. Going all or nothing, I don't think works. So if I'm doing it, keep the great people, the great leaders and players who can absolutely play a role next year and help mentor. So that's why prior to the issue with Taylor Walker, that's why Taylor Walker gets another deal. Commands a spot still, mentor to the young players. That's why Daniel Talia should get a spot. He's in their best 22 still and a great leader. That's why Sloan gets it. Like on Rory Sloane's performance, if he wasn't contracted and he wasn't captain, you'd have to sever ties with him. 32 years of age, really struggling out there on the field. The only real reason that Rory will be on the list and is in the same category as Tom Lynch is because he's contracted. That's the only reason. So you've got to be consistent when you make brutal calls like this. But as I'll say again, well done to them. They're going to live or die by this. And Justin Reid, he's had a few lives. This will be the making of him and how quickly he can rebuild this list.
Do you think Tom Lynch gets a gig somewhere else?
Yeah, I do.
As in to a premiership contender?
Lynch is in the best. Is Tom Lynch in the best 800 players in the country? Absolutely. Is Tom Lynch in the best 400 players? Yes, he is. So I think someone like I think he could go Gold Coast. So there's one or two ways. You could go to a club that's in the mix, and I think you'll have those options, or you can go to a club that needs what Adelaide need, ironically, and that is another forward. North Melbourne, great mentor, 2-year deal, not going to cost you much, can transition to a coaching role. Gold Coast, the same. They're looking for players of that ilk, like Tom Lynch. So I think there'll be a number of options for him.
So Matt Crouch has been told he's a required player, which isn't a big surprise. A deal is yet to be done. What sort of deal do you think that the Crows would be trying to table, and perhaps Matt Crouch and his management as well? Is it I'm not saying a lifetime deal, but is it a long-term deal, or is he trying to set himself up with that 2-year deal to try and strike again for the lifetime deal in a couple of seasons? Because Matt Crouch is still, with all his injury concerns he's had over the past year, he's still a best and fairest winner and an All-Australian.
It'll be a deal, unfortunately, for Matt on the Crows' terms. And I think what Adelaide have done once again is the right thing. It'll be a 2-year deal, I reckon, with a 3rd-year trigger. If you hit, 36 games in 2 years, you'll get that trigger like Paul Seedsman has had. And others, I think he'll get paid a good contract between $550 and $600. I think that's probably where it lies. I like the fact they've offered him that. It'll now be over to Matt. Does he want to do what his brother did and explore his options to see how much he can go to elsewhere in terms of years? He'll want some security with his body, but he may not have the options that perhaps he thought he would have at the start of the year. And unfortunately for him, he may just have to take Adelaide's deal.
In terms of some of the other players available, and not so much available, but some players that potentially Adelaide could target, Isaac Rankin, absolutely. You'd be absolutely astonished if behind closed doors the Crows weren't at least exploring where Isaac Rankin is at, given he was dropped a couple of weeks ago, etc.
Matthew Nick spoke about that publicly.
And the other one is Aaron Francis. He can play, Aaron Francis. And is he that player to get him home, to get him back? Would they pay overs for?
I don't know whether
he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's in the age bracket now. I think they'll be sort of targeting the 23, 24s. But anyway, it's a few people texting through about Jack Billings. Does he fit? Kane, do you think the Crows stuffed up the Sloan contract? And do you think Tom Lynch could be an option for Port? We allegedly are chasing Billings, but could get Lynch for $500,000. We get Tom Lynch for much less than $500,000, Lewis. You'd get him for probably 160, 170 plus match payments. So that's why it's attractive. And yeah, I do think they stuffed up the Sloan contract. Giving a player who's 28, 29 a 5-year deal at that stage of his career with the injuries that he's had, he's always going to be a mistake. And you know my thoughts on long-term deals. Kane, I disagree about Adelaide supporters getting sick of losing. If we see constant improvements forward, I'm willing to cop that. They are obviously freeing up as much salary cap room as they can. We'll wait and see on that. I guess Crows fans can stomach 1-2 years as the worst team in the competition. Can they stomach 3-4 years will be the issue. 1300 736 736. Michelangelo Rucci next.
Good involvement via the text line as well. Keep them coming. Thanks to Weeks. We don't replicate. We create homes that transform lives. Weeks Homes. Discover different. 0427 154 166 16. Some showers across Adelaide today. Right now it is 11 degrees in the city. Good morning.
Party people! Rooch, here he is. Rooch, here he is. Hey, Rooch, shakalaka, 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 Rooch.
I'm Mike Rucci on a Wednesday morning. It's what we want. Good morning to you, Rooch.
Morning, Kane. Morning, Andrew.
How long? Well, sorry. The issue with Taylor Walker is going to continue to bubble away for a long time, Rooch. We heard Eddie Betts last night. What were your emotions listening to Eddie speak about the conversation he had with his former teammate and the impact his comments have had?
The key points have been repeated from previous moments like this one where everyone's tired of it. It needs to stop. It's 2021. It's an era whereby we should be better understanding of everyone and more appreciative of all cultures and know that we get richer and stronger by actually diversity. But Eddie's point's right. The Indigenous Australians are a minority part of our population. They cannot win this fight on their own. They need allies. And the saddest thing about the moment that happened, in the mid-July is that Taylor Walker was one of those strong allies at a time in April 2017 when he stood alongside Eddie Betts and he took all the Port Adelaide team and all the Adelaide Football Club to Adelaide Oval to say this has to stop. Now, that's the bit that's probably rocked them the most. And it's not just Eddie Betts, but everyone who was so admiring of that moment in April that a man who was seen as an ally made a mistake himself. So it's just so much more work that needs to be done. And it's sad to say it at a time when, we're in 2021. If you think of all the things we've achieved in the past century. The ability to walk on the moon, the ability to actually communicate on a mobile device. When we used to laugh as kids watching, Maxwell Smart as an agent of a make-believe organisation, talking to his shoe. And yet we've stopped racism because we're being that silly and that dumb about understanding what damage we're doing to each other with it. It's just insane, and that's why. And that's not the first time we've seen Eddie Betts have to stand up and say, we're all getting tired of it. He did it last year when he was subjected to so much racial slurring on social media, and it doesn't stop. He continues to cop it day after day. So when does it stop?
So who's advising Taylor Walker now? Is the club, as much as they say they haven't distanced themselves from him, they didn't seem like they had a whole heap of control out of the video, over the video that he released. Is now Taylor Walker almost separate from the club and being advised by his management group? And how much input does the club have into his day-to-day affairs right now, do you think?
Well, we gather that the AFLPA is having a fair bit of a say there, and his management team. Now, the reality of all that advice is it's just going to bounce off a wall while Taylor Walker's not in a good space. The best advice he needs at the moment is from people who can care him on the issue of mental health. It's been incredibly tough for him, to the point whereby all those things that many people want to see, like whether it be him connect up with people, is just not possible at the moment, because that's how much he's been rocked about his own moment of madness, if we can call it that. So I'm not sure any of that advice from the AFLPA or his management team, because at the moment there are some pretty serious side shows coming on with this, including now Optus now considering whether it wants to be associated with the Adelaide Football Club. And that's the same as what happened with Eddie Maguire at Collingwood at the start of the year, when Nike became pretty heavy and made it clear that it was prepared to, pull its sponsorship because it didn't want to have the racism row associated, while it was sponsoring Collingwood. So there's so many difficult issues. But the key thing is, somewhere along the line, Taylor Walker's got to sit down, work his way through all this, reconnect with a lot of people he's hurt over the past month, and then move on to all the other issues as to whether he plays, what he does post-football, etc., etc. So there's many stages, but he's at the hardest stage of all at the moment, and that is facing up to the people he's hurt the most.
So I've never sat on a board, but can you take us inside what you think the boardroom discussions would be about his future right now? It seems as though, from what you hear, the board is split on whether he does come back or not, and ultimately they'll make the call.
Well, there's a fair bit to digest in that. Now, yesterday, the Crows Indigenous players got their first bit of counselling from someone who's pretty well experienced in this sort of stuff, because they've had to handle it in this town for a long time. So the first question is, can Taylor Walker walk back into those change rooms without causing concern there? Now, that's a hard one to answer, because you've seen how much hurt there is at the moment. Two, that board's got to consider just what happens to the image of the Adelaide Football Club, particularly among its corporate backers, if he returns to the football club. And the other one that's really important is, because we saw it, with a fair few others, in particular Adam Goods, is when you return to the football field, how are you actually going to be treated by the public? Now, there's going to be fools in that public space who aren't going to wrap their arms around Taylor Walker. They will just want to condemn him because he's Taylor Walker. Now, I keep saying we condemn the action. We certainly condemn the words. But if we're going to cast Taylor Walker aside and turn him into a pariah, we're not learning anything from the core issue here, what racism is and exclusion and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, that is a tough job to be in that Adelaide Football Club at the moment, trying to understand what is going to play out. But right now it just seems too big a mountain for anyone to climb to imagine that Taylor Walker returns to that football club in the next year.
Rooch, thanks for your work as always, mate. We'll tune in for more from 3:30 to 5:30 this afternoon with his partner in crime, Kim Dillon. Coming up next, we are going to get through a whole heap of things, including your texts and your calls. A little bit later on, Marlon Motlop and Nathan Sobey is going to join us. You can jump on the phone for Weeks, discover a better way to build. Weeks Homes, discover different. Time now for the news headlines, Hazy.
We're going to get around tyre power as well, your trusted tyre experts. And the Mazda Moment mid-season event is on. Good morning. Text line 0427 154 166. Thanks to Weeks. Discover a better way to build. Weeks Homes, discover different. I've been talking about Eddie Betts' response last night on AFL 360 and everything that's come from the Taylor Walker incident. This text, Kane, reads, where is the case into the Twitter rant on Alir at. Unfortunately, it's in that bracket of where to from here for that, because this was an account that was set up by an absolute troll on Saturday night, purely focused on sending some hate. So unfortunately, it's unaccountable in terms of there's no way to identify this person. So what can you do apart from the same age-old thing to some of these social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, unless you need somewhat sort of genuine verification, there's not much you can do.
How many times have we said that on this show? The billion-dollar industries allow people to set up accounts, fake accounts. You go into a bank, you need to take a passport and 100 points of ID or whatever they use. Why do you not have to do the same to set up a social media account with an actual image of yourself? It should just be the conditions of use. I don't understand why that hasn't happened yet so far down the time of social media being invented. Corns, haven't you changed your tune in regards to long-term player contracts since you switched to the media? Not so long ago, you emphasised your strong desire as a player to secure a long-term contract versus a shorter, more lucrative, high-incentive contract. Consistency, please. Well, the longest contract I ever signed was 4 years. So if that's what you're calling a long-term contract these days, I disagree. I'm talking Josh Kelly signed for 8. Rory Sloane signed for 5 at the age of 28 years of age. So that's what I'm talking about. Club's been a bit smarter. Petrarca got, what did he get, 7? Ridiculous contracts now.
No, Josh Kelly was a 10-year deal.
Josh was 10.
So there was a 10-year deal. A 2-year which was effectively 2 years with an 8-year option.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I signed a 4 when I was 24, I reckon, after the All-Australian and Premiership appearance in 2007. That was the longest I ever got. And that was a long-term deal back then. Now, not so much. Steve's on the line. He wants to speak about Tom Lynch. G'day, Steve.
Yeah, hi, Kane. Did you say Premiership in 2007? I remember 2007 differently, Kane.
I think I said Premiership appearance, didn't I, Steve?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Just clarifying. I was just thinking about Tom Lynch. I find it really sad that it's come to this. He's such a good person, but I think all of us that know sport, we understand the importance of a contract year. And you look at someone like, I personally think Adelaide were happy for Taylor Walker to play this year. And they weren't expecting him to play so well, so this would kind of be his farewell tour. And maybe Tom Lynch could have been the forward line veteran that they kept going, but unfortunately Tom Lynch had, what is a really terrible injury in a contract year, and that's left him on the outer. And as I think James Rowley said yesterday, they've got so many young players that are all playing in the same position as Tom Lynch, that unfortunately if they keep him, he's going to, they're playing Billy Frampton down in the back line. That's not ideal. But Tom Lynch is keeping him out of that. If he was a midfielder, like apparently Adelaide's either signed or is pretty hot on Trent Dumont from North Melbourne. Apparently he's coming to West Lakes next year. So he's a midfielder. He's not a superstar, but they need more of them, whereas they don't need more forwards. And unfortunately, that's where it leaves Tom Lynch, which is sad, but it's the pragmatic decision.
Yeah, no, I understand that view. I do. And as I said, you've got to compliment Adelaide on their conviction and their courage. Very easy to keep players around for a long time. That's the easy call. They've made the hard one. I wouldn't have done it. I think for, everyone's different, but at his age, with his character, and he's willing to play Sample if he needs to. I wouldn't have done it, but I'm not super critical of Adelaide for having the courage to do it.
Hey, Steve, do you see Billy Frampton's future as a forward or a defender?
No, he's a forward, and that's what they recruited him as. But he's not going to be the Tom Lynch. I reckon Riley Philthorpe will probably be the Tom Lynch, or Braden Cook will play that role. But no, I see Billy Frampton as a forward. They're going to have to spend so much time to train him to be a defender when he's been a forward his whole life. So yeah, I don't think Josh Jenkins got a 5-year contract at $800,000 or whatever because he was leading the Coleman in his contract year. Unfortunately, Tom Lynch hasn't done that, so that's why he's on the outer. I agree with you, Kane. I wouldn't have done it. I love Tom Lynch, and I would have loved to have seen him stay. But you kind of got to back the club.
Good on you, Steve. Thanks for your thoughts, as always, mate. Now, this year's 40-man AFL Players Association 22 under-22 squad is in, Hazy.
Yep.
Let's go firstly to both Port Adelaide and the Crows. As I'm reading it, I don't think Port Adelaide have anyone.
Yeah, they do. They got Willem Drew and Mitch Georgiades.
Sorry, my bad. Willem Drew and Mitch Georgiades, of course. And Adelaide also have two, Jordan Butts and Harry Schomburg. So these are the best players under the age of 22. Gives you a good indication into the future. Melbourne have got five. Harrison Petty, Trent Rivers, James Jordan, Cozzy Pickett and Luke Jackson. Gold Coast also five. Sydney have got four. Fremantle have got three with Chera, Brayshaw and Sarong. So two players each for the Crows and Port Adelaide. Willem Drew, Mitch Georgiades from Port, and Adelaide, Jordan Butts and Harry Schomburg.
I sort of find it a little bit surprising the teams that don't have many, and that is the Cats have zero.
Well, they're the oldest, second oldest team in the comp.
West Coast have Oscar Allen. That's
Same.
it. And Richmond just Shea Bolton.
Yep. And
Carlton, Sam Walsh. That's concerning.
That's the biggest concern. Like if you are not in the finals race and you've got one or less players recognise this. That's why I'm a little bit worried about Adelaide. Like they've debuted more players than any other team. They've given more experience to any other players under the age of 22. Perhaps their time will come in 2 years, maybe, when the likes of, I don't know, the others that are still under the age that are starting to get experience come through. But I thought they would have had more.
Well, you think about some of those guys in the Crows who potentially could be in the mix, but either missed footy or just sort of dropped off in form. I would have thought at the start of the year, the way that Lockie Scholl was going, he would have been pushing, but his form's dropped off a little bit. And he just hasn't played enough. Footy.
Probably.
Is Riley Thilthorpe.
Yep, exactly. This funny text coming through, we did see that Jason Horn has now changed his name to Jason Horn Francis. Laz says, father-son now?
Yeah.
On the back of Fabian Francis.
Is that tweaking the rules?
And Justin says, on the Crows, it's our team selection for me. In a time when Adelaide can't kick goals, we dropped Rowe last week, who's good for a goal of game. And now Lynch, who's done the same since coming back into the side, won't be around next year. Plus Tex, I'm frustrated. It's 18 minutes to 8. Marlon Motlop will join us next.
All right, we'll do it as well. Thanks to Mazda, the Mazda Moment mid-season event that is on right now. Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. Get around the guys. 16 degrees. Some showers developing across Adelaide today. Good morning.
14 minutes to 8 o'clock. Joining us shortly, we'll get to Marlon Motlop. And after 8 o'clock, we'll also speak to our man, Nathan Sobey Bryant. Lots of text coming through. Pretty fiery, can we say, Hazy, this morning on the text line?
A little bit fiery indeed. I kept them coming. 0427 154 166. Of course, that is thanks to Weeks. Discover a better way to build. Weeks Homes. Discover different. We'd love to take a call from you as well, of course. We'll do that before 8:30. 1300 736 736.
Time now for our next guest, one of our favourites.
Black Swan, stand up tall when you're singing, cause you're singing for me, my man. My man, na 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 na. Black Swan, stand up tall when you're singing, cause you're singing for me, my man.
There he is, Marlon Motlop. There's nothing our next guest can't do. Marlon, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
The Tigers, what about that? 15 from 15, you've secured the minor premiership. Is this the best team you've ever been a part of?
Oh, I'd be, easily close to one of the best. I mean, it's been a good year. Winning's always fun, and it makes Mondays easy. But we've got some quality players throughout every line in our Glenelg side this year. So it's got to be up there.
Spoken about it the last sort of couple of days, Marlon. What was impressive about the weekend is that I think it's fair to say that you guys were pretty flat. It wasn't your best game, but even when you had a bad day, you found a way to win.
Yeah, I think that's. I guess that's the positive you take away, is that we can manage to flick the switch and get the job done. But we still there's 3 games left of the minor round season, so we still think we've got a fair bit of upside to come, and part of that is being able to put 4 quarters together. But it's pleasing to know that we can get the job done and find a way to win.
Mate, you're clearly stacked. I love your back line. Your midfield with Matty Snook running around and everybody else is amazing, but the forward line is ridiculous. And when you get Hosey back into there as well, along with yourself, it must be just unbelievably daunting for the opposition. You must walk up to your spot when you're playing up forward and just look around and go, yeah, we're on here today, boys, because Your forward line is easily the best in the competition.
Yeah, it's a good feeling when you're running out to your position and you're standing next to Liam McBean, Luke Reynolds, Toby Pink as well. He's so underrated for a big guy. His ability to put pressure on and hold the ball in, and then as you said, we've got Lockie Hosey to come back. I think he'll play a half this week and make his way back into the side, and then we've got our smalls in around then. It's a privilege to play up there. It makes it easy.
15 from 15. You mentioned 3 games left in the season. There's not a lot to play for other than the record books, Marlon. How determined and motivated are the group to be the first ever to go undefeated?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't know. It's so early. Like, it was a weird feeling to see, the social media updates of us winning the minor premiers when there's 3 games left. It was a little bit weird, but we're super hungry to get better every week. We just take it a day at a time, a training session at a time, and we're trying to improve. So we're super hard on ourselves at training. The leaders are super hard on the group, and the coaches are super hard on the leadership group as well. So we're just striving to get better every week. And as I said, we've still got some upside. There's still some areas in our game that we need to improve on. So we've got 3 weeks before we get to the business end. So hopefully we can get a lot out of this next 3 weeks.
Mate, you were part of it a couple of seasons ago, the premiership success, the big breakthrough and all those types of things. How much does it drive you knowing what it's like to win to get that feeling back?
Yeah, it's you miss it. You miss just walking out, when once winter goes away and the sun comes back out and finals comes around and the grass is looking pretty. To walk out on Adelaide Oval, you do miss it. We were lucky enough to get there last year, but lost the first round. So super hungry to get back, and I know that there's a couple of guys that haven't played finals, guys like Brett Turner and Sam Durden, who have come from other clubs who haven't had much success over the course of their career. So I think it'll just be exciting for them to taste it and experience it as well.
The COVID lockdown, the forced break, did that suit you blokes in terms of, I suppose, getting a few blokes to have a bit of a rest and tune up?
Oh yeah, if you're old like me, it was good to have a week off and just I don't know, probably less kicking the footies and just be able to just take your mind off it a little bit. It was a good refresher, but once we were back into the club, it was all systems go and we were back into it. So,
who's the best team you've played against? I mean, it's 15-0. It sounds easy, but you have had a couple of close games.
Yeah, I think Norwood are right up there. I think they should have won really in our first meeting earlier in the year. Eagles are up there as well. North Adelaide are running into some good form, as they usually do each year, running into finals. So, the top 3 are always competitive. And, look, we're focusing our training on, how do we beat the best sides, at the most crucial part of the year, which is finals. So it's going to be exciting.
Marlon, as an Indigenous Australian, can we get your view on the biggest issue of the week, and that was the Taylor Walker situation? Have you spoken to Robbie Young, and how have you personally handled it?
No, I haven't reached out to Robbie. I guess what it does from an outsider's perspective is it creates conversation for myself amongst my family and my friends. And I guess the big thing that, you focus on when you're having those conversations as a First Nation person in this country is you need to, or you just want to play your role in trying to educate your peers. But, when something like this comes up, particularly from Tex, who, had spent so much time around people like Eddie Betts and saw firsthand what he'd experienced over the last few years, it's quite disappointing. So, we've just got to keep striving to be better every day. And, I think he's got some good support around him. he's in no better place to be able to educate himself, which is the AFL industry as well. So,
where's your head at, Marlon, with all this in terms of? I mean, I found it really interesting. Tony Armstrong's take the other day. I think he was on ABC Breakfast, and just said that it shouldn't be the role of Indigenous Australians to extend the olive branch and to try and educate in situations like this. And I found that it's compelling for Kane and I. We sat here and we spoke before about it, how we don't understand what it's like. And I'm sure you've had your own incidents, but we've heard from Eddie Betts as well, and you can hear it in his voice where it's just, it's grinding him. From a headspace where you're at the moment, how badly are you affected?
Yeah, it's quite disappointing. And I think the most alarming thing is that, particularly people in the sporting world from a higher level, I think as First Nations people, we're starting to get used to racial vilification incidences throughout the media and just popping up maybe once, twice a year, which is very alarming and very disappointing. We don't want to be getting used to this stuff. We want to be not seeing it ever again. And it feels like the message isn't really getting through properly as it should. So I think, while, we look at ourselves and people look to their First Nation peers to educate them, we probably need to go to the next step and just take these people over to our elders and listen to our elders and listen to the stories of their challenges and what they went through back in their days when they were young people growing up in this country. Because what we're saying as people in the modern world now, in the developed world, it's not sinking in. But if you listen to the heartache of our elders, I think you'll start to really understand properly.
Very well said. Mate, now in terms of the music, we need to speak about that because we had yourself and Ruller in here not too long ago. You did play as well. We heard a bit of a clip before of Black Swan. Where are we at with the music? We know that you played at WOMAD, so you're absolutely killing it. Obviously, COVID sort of affects a little bits and pieces, but you guys are making some pretty big strides. What does the gig schedule look like at the minute?
Yeah, we've had a couple of gigs pushed back, unfortunately, due to COVID, but they're penciled in for later on in the year. I think after Base in the Grass, after WOMAD, we played at Base in the Grass in Darwin. So that was a little bit of a homecoming for myself. That was pretty special, and that was in front of, there was 16,000 at that festival. So I think what we're doing is with the one festival leads to another big one. So we were penciled in to perform at the National Indigenous Music Awards in Darwin. So hopefully they get postponed and rescheduled for later in the year. And we're jumping in the studio to write some stuff and get some stuff down and try to release our second track within probably the next 3 to 4 months as well. So there's a bit of a plan there, and in amongst all footy and life, we try and fit it in.
Can you compare the two feelings, getting on stage, performing in front of thousands versus winning a premiership at Adelaide Oval?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can really. I always liken the feeling of walking out when you're performing to being a child and having a new toy and wanting to show your new toy off at school. And the feeling of just walking out at Adelaide Oval and winning a flag, it's something a little bit different to it because you work so hard together towards a common goal for so long. So, they're a little bit different. There's some similarities in there.
Mate, how's Roller going? We love the way that he goes about it. He's an absolute gun.
Yeah, he's a legend. Roll's going well. He's playing some footy, kicking some goals down at Foss Camden, and he's doing some great stuff at ABC as well. We just finished filming a cooking show, myself, him, and my cousin Daniel as well up in the Northern Territory. So I think that airs pretty soon, but he's doing some great stuff at ABC with their Aboriginal ABC content as well. So, he's going well.
Well done, mate. Thanks for sharing your experience with us this morning. Good luck on the weekend. The Tigers taking on Centrals, Hazy, which is an interesting one in itself. And when you do get that next track down, we wouldn't mind you getting back in the studio and belting it out for us if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Love up and Bible. So, yeah, thanks for having me as well.
Good man. Marlon Motlop, superstar on and off the field, joining us this morning. Right now it is just before 8 o'clock. It's time now for the 8 o'clock news. 6 minutes after 8 o'clock, it is pelting down outside as we stare outside of SENSA's Studio Lumo, number 1 King William Street, in the heart of the city. Bucketing down, Hazy.
Ooh, yes.
Isn't it?
Good for the garden, as they say.
Hearing that Port Adelaide's game with Carlton will be 4:05 on Saturday, so the twilight fixture. But let's not keep our next guest waiting any longer.
And after 65 years of blood, sweat and plenty of tears, the Australian men's basketball team's crusade to stand on the Olympic podium has finally delivered. The Boomers have claimed the bronze medal as they defeat Slovenia here by 14 points.
Channel 7's call, John Casey, of that amazing moment and many people's favourite Olympic moment. Nathan Sobey, we spoke to him in the lead up to the games. We speak to him now. He joins us. Sobes, congratulations, mate.
Hey, fellas. Thanks heaps. Bloody unreal, huh? We are still living on a little bit of a high now, even though we're in quarantine. But, yeah, it's super pumped with the result.
Well, you speak of quarantine. Where are you? Where are you talking to us from?
Got into Brisbane yesterday, so 13 more days, and get out of here and see the family and whatnot, and be able to sort of celebrate with them a little bit.
I guess your mind keeps going back to the campaign. It was the most successful we've ever had. The team captivated us all. Is it starting to sink in what you've accomplished?
Yeah, a little bit more yesterday once we settled in here for a decent while, and then obviously waking up this morning and stuff as well, had a bit more time to think about it, and definitely settling in a little bit more, and just super pumped to be able to come home with that medal, and obviously like all the people before us playing for the Boomers and that this one's, and obviously for Australia as well, this one's for everyone, and we're just super stoked to be a part of it.
Oh, you touched on it just there, Sobes, but I mean, did you guys understand the significance? To see Andrew Gaze and some of these guys in tears, it was just such a massive, massive moment for Australian basketball, and I'm not sure how you guys would have been in touch with what was happening back here, but the entire nation watched every second and was right behind you. It's really going to go down as a pretty iconic moment in Australian sport.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're sort of understanding that a little bit more as we go on, and probably more once we get out of quarantine and start to talk to people around Australia and sort of experience their sort of experience with it while we were away, as we didn't see as much as what we probably usually would, but we could definitely feel everyone behind us, all the messages and stuff while we're over there for the whole campaign, and we definitely felt like we still had Australia with us when we were going into games for sure.
How much time did the medal spend around your neck?
It spent the first, full day around my neck. It actually got too heavy for me neck in the end. I had to have a little break from it. But some of the boys, I don't think Daly was taking his off until he's seen his family. So I'm not sure how he's still going with that. But, definitely special.
There were so many iconic moments of the Olympic Games in your campaign. I guess none more so than the matchups with USA in the lead-up and also in the semi-final, which you led by 15 towards half-time. Take us inside that. Did you, the group at half-time after they had their little run on and made it a bit closer, what was your experiences and how intimidating was it coming up against the likes of those superstars in Lillard and KD and also Jason Tatum?
Yeah, I mean, we started off the first quarter and the start of the second really well, and they sort of got on a roll in that little bit of that second quarter. And once they got feeling good, it was kind of KD started making some tough shots and doing what he does. And once they got rolling, they all sort of jumped on each other's backs and sort of all started feeling good at the same time. So we started off the way we wanted to start, and then gave away a few easies and whatnot, and then it was just a bit too hard to bring it back from there. They had a lot of scorers, like you said, just capable of making tough baskets. But it was definitely a good experience. Obviously, that's the game we wanted to win, but still stoked to be able to bring home the bronze for sure.
So to dust yourself off after that, Brian Goorjian has since spoken on SEN about the message he shared to the playing group after that game. What were your memories of what sounded to be a really inspirational speech to get yourself back up for the bronze medal match.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, inspirational it was. He came into the locker room, said what he had to say, and to be honest, I was ready to play straight away again. We'd just finished playing that game, but obviously we had some rest to do and get ready for that next one. But even not just the one in the locker room, lead-up ones the next day, and then the one into the game as well. Just them guys have been around the Boomers for a long time. I think Gorge was with it 12 years ago, and some of those players being around it for so long here and that sort of thing probably kept them on a straight path, and sort of we've been through that in the World Cup against Spain, losing and finishing fourth after that against France as well, and sort of knew going into that Slovenia game that we'd been in that situation before, and we knew the feeling at the end of that, and that we didn't want to go through that again. So it was kind of good that we'd had that sort of experience before, that we could put it in the back of the mind and stay locked in and ready to go. And we did that as a group, that's for sure, and we're able to come away with that win.
Boomers bronze medalist Nathan Sobey, and one of our favourites for a long way back. Was there any one thing he said that resonated with you? Can you take us inside the locker room and Gorgon's speech?
It was just pretty straightforward. We've still got the chance to be able to do something that's never been done before, and we understood that we wanted to get that gold medal. But once we flicked the switch and knew that we did have that chance, I think it was pretty straightforward for us to get back into line and get on the right path to get ready for that Slovenia game.
What I do love about the Olympic basketball, Sobes, is it's a big money sport, and all the athletes and all the stars are there as well for the most part when you compare to some of the other sports like golf, etc., and maybe soccer, etc. But some of these players that you played against, KD, Lillard, Jason Tatum, Doncic, those guys in the flesh, how impressive were they, and what was it like matching up against them?
I mean, I love the experience playing against them. Obviously, my first Olympics, and it was a great experience to be able to get into that sort of environment and get on the floor with the best in the world. And but then again, the likes of having Paddy and those guys who, I mean, Paddy had an unbelievable game that last game. Just the way those guys go about it, and being experienced with them guys over the last couple of campaigns, and them being some of the best in the world as well, like just being able to learn from them and stuff sort of gets us locked in what we need to do heading into those sort of environments.
Oh, look, the Boomers might be the most popular team in the country at the minute, and Paddy Mills might be the most popular man in this country. Can you give us an insight into what he's like? Because from the outside looking in, he's pretty flawless.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm just going to touch on exactly like he might be one of the most genuine people you'll meet. Just no fuss about him or anything like that. Goes about his business, and off the court, even better bloke as well. So it's pretty straightforward with him. He's an awesome person, that's for sure.
How much does it fuel your desire to get to the NBA? We saw Jock Landale get his deal, and some others as well. Scouts watching, audiences, billions of people. Did it fuel your desire even more?
To be honest, I was pretty just locked into doing whatever I can with whatever I could to when I was getting my minutes, whether it was helping out, talking to some of the guys when I was on the bench, just whatever I could. I was just locked into doing that so that we could try and have the best possible chance to win a medal. I didn't think about that much at all, to be honest, but if that stuff will take care of itself no matter what. So not really locked in on that at all.
What was the experience like as a whole? I mean, you mentioned first-time Olympian, a really difficult one to attend. Could you see any events? Was it just the strictest processes you've ever been involved in? Take us through what it was like.
It was pretty strict and straightforward. obviously tested every day with the COVID and stuff, and yeah, you couldn't really go to other events. Maybe your own sport. Maybe we could have gone to a couple of other the women's basketball games and stuff. But other than that, nah, you're stuck in the village the whole time. So it was pretty strict.
What does the rest of the next few weeks look like for you, Sobes, when you finish quarantine, etc.?
My plan is to go home and see the girls and go on a little holiday with them and sort of get away and just enjoy some time with them, and then hopefully head home to Warrnambool and see my family and some friends and catch up with them and hopefully celebrate this for a little bit.
The celebrations are very important. Can you give us a top three? Who are the top three Boomers that were celebrated very, very well?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Not everyone had a fair hot crack, but top three. I'll go. Joe Ingles had a fair crack. I'll give him a vote in there. Paddy would have to be up there dancing and stuff. People start to see the videos in that. And who else? I'll give the other one to Golding as well.
Yeah, that's
good stuff. Hey, mate, are you?
His Instagram stories were pretty funny.
We'll have to check them out. Are you a memorabilia kind of guy? Did you get a Guernsey from Durant or a US Guernsey, or what's important to you from your team as a memento from what you've achieved?
No, I just got our boys to sign my playing jersey, and yeah, I'll hold on to that one for a long time.
We're hearing now as well that this is the standard right from the start. I mean, you guys have said gold was the standard in the lead up to it. 2024, how determined are you personally to get back there and go one or two better?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ever since we got to Vegas, it was always gold vibes only for the group, and we sort of changed that a little bit now to rose gold vibes only. Yeah, like, after this, we'll sort of get back on track, and like you said, it's always going to be the gold. This is the standard for sure now, and trying to keep moving forward and keep pushing Australian basketball.
Well, once again, congratulations. You've always been one of our favourites. You've always been really generous with your time on our show for the last probably 2 to 3 years, which we appreciate. Now you're an athlete that we will remember forever from what you've achieved. Appreciate your time, mate. Enjoy. Good luck getting through quarantine, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Nathan Sobey Bryant is a bronze medalist. The Boomers, I think it was, for a lot of people, universally, like, regardless of your taste in your sport, and some captivated by the swimming.
Yep.
I'm athletics, but universally it felt like the Boomers were that team, the team of the Olympics.
Oh, I just love that that's a situation where they won a bronze medal, but it felt like a win.
Yeah.
It felt like a genuine massive
win.
I
love that too.
Because I'm imagining, I'm just likening Sobey and the rest of the boys wearing that medal like a premiership medal. It's fantastic.
No, it's brilliant. And I don't think many, if any, basketballers have spoken.
No. So there you go. That's I haven't heard anyone anywhere.
No. I heard Gorgon.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any players.
Yep. So well done to Alicia.
Well done to Alicia. And well done to the Boomers and one of our favourites, Nathan Sobey Bryant. Back with your calls after this. It is a rainy day here in Adelaide, and it's 20 minutes past 8.
That text line, get involved, 0427 154 166. Still time to take a call from as well, 1300 736 736. Good morning.
24 minutes after 8 o'clock. If you're just joining us, we spoke to Marlon Motlop. Terrific insight into the issues of the week with Marlon and his advice to everyone moving forward on the racism issue. Michelangelo Rucci, as always. And moments ago, the Boomers bronze medalist, Nathan Sobey. All of those interviews and discussions will be available on our podcast a little bit later on, in fact, very shortly.
Get around that. Toby Green, he's got 1 week, so they were successful in downgrading the impact of his striking charge from high to medium. So that's resulted in 1 game suspension rather than the 2-game penalty handed down by the MRO. Now they have the option, or they need to discuss whether they challenge. Because it's doing the news circles this morning and seeing the replay again. It really feels like a copper high.
Just a free kick?
And a free kick play on. Dangerfield said the same thing himself. But the Toby Green law suggests that if your name is Toby Green, you play for GWS, you're in a bit of strife.
Chris Scott said the same after the game. Dangerfield said the same. Geelong's medical team actually helped out Toby Green, and yet he still misses a game for that when others have got off for similar. Now, the Giants have said this morning that they haven't made a decision yet on whether they will appeal again. They're going through closely the transcripts of that, but they're filthy, the Giants, and understandably so. It's just really hard for the players when rulings change mid-year, and if you go back to round 6 and a player gets off for a very similar incident as opposed to round 21, it's confusing for everyone, and that's why we get really frustrated by it. Lance Franklin can chuck an elbow back deliberately and get off at the tribunal, and others miss, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's a big issue for the new football operations boss taking over from Stephen Hocking, whoever that person is, to fix what appears to be a bit of a broken system at the moment.
Text line 0427 154 166. Calm says Ben Simmons working on his jump shot with Rondo from the Clippers as he ends all convos with Philly to the point of willing to sit out the season is very interesting. So he's open to a trade to the LA Lakers, the Clippers, or Golden State. Just the big money markets, big spots. A little bit over these training videos, to be honest. In particular, what you've got Ben Simmons hitting consecutive jump shot 3-pointers. And then you go, well, okay, Ben's going to come back next season and potentially not even attempt a 3-pointer for the entire season. And you see it with all of the wild guys just trying to show you what's going on. Melo did it back when he was struggling to get a gig somewhere. He eventually came back and showed what he could do. But there's a lot who can put together effectively a nice mixtape. And then when push comes to shove, they can't quite hit that shot.
No.
And you just wonder if Ben Simmons is even going to attempt a shot from outside the arc.
Yeah, I know. And those players are that good. They can hit it without any pressure, but put it into a game situation when there's a hand in your face, it makes it a bit more difficult. So, yeah, ignore those videos. I would be doing that. Sam Edmund from SEN has tweeted that despite hurdles, it's looking increasingly likely that we'll get AFL games in 5 states this week, which is no mean feat. Tassie is back on for the Hawks and the Dogs. Essendon are set to play the Suns at Metricon. The Hawks, and then the Suns and the Lions will be at the Gabba. The Blues will need to do the quick fly-in, fly-out in Adelaide, and WA Derby is already locked in. So, 2 games to go they've got to get through.
So
2 rounds.
Just an update. It's been 16 seconds since you spoke about it. It's changed 3 times because what COVID likes is complacency and people to get comfortable, and what it really feeds on is people locking in plans.
Yeah. Port fans, 4:05 local time, I believe. But as Hazy said, that can be subject to change against Carlton on Saturday. That's all you need to know. And Crows fans, your game looking likely to be able to be in at the MCG against Melbourne.
Twilight game would make sense. What we were hearing was it would definitely be a day game because Carlton would need to fly in and out. But Twilight seems to be the flavour at the minute. How would that sit with your Port Adelaide supporters? Because there's a difference between a day game and a Twilight fixture, isn't
there?
And
with your announcement on restrictions, 50. Did I hear 50% crowd? Up from 15. We'll check that. I thought I heard Stephen Marshall say 50%, but I'm not sure if the crowd figure has yet been locked in. 15,000 for the showdown. Will there be an increase in that? So 50% would be 25,000. Makes a bit more sense.
You'd hope so. It's a rainy day. All good for you, though, Kane. You don't need to worry about that because you won't be attacking the elements out there because your foot is, as they say, you've got a dicky foot.
Yeah, it's ruined. I'll go to the gym and saddle up alongside the grandma and grandpas and get on the airwalker.
You're back on the airwalker.
Yep, that's what I'll be doing this morning. So
that's such a good look.
If you need me, if anyone is after me, I'll just be down Next Generation on the airwalker next to
Fit Dad,
my grandma and grandpa friends.
All right, we'll catch you bright and early tomorrow morning from 6. Waitley is up next, and like we said, it's going to be raining all day for a top of 16 degrees across Adelaide. Enjoy. Take care.